ABC24 This Week starts right now.
Hello, and thank you for joining us on ABC24 This Week. I am your host, Pepper Baker. You are here for the real stories behind the big stories, and I hope you'll continue to join us every Sunday at 9 a.m., 10:35 p.m., or on 24+. All right, let's see who is at the table today. As always, ABC24 political analyst Otis Sanford. We have former Memphis City Council Chair and former Shelby County Schools Board member Scott McCormick, and we have First Baptist Church Broad Pastor Keith Norman. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's get to the topics. First, a judge's recent ruling puts a stop to the MSCS Oversight Board for now. Two, what the independent autopsy results say about the moment a Senatobia police officer shot into a car, killing one-year-old Cohen Wiley. And lastly, a Supreme Court ruling on a Mississippi case involving mail-in voting. And at the end of this episode, I'll reveal our bonus segment topics that you can only watch by streaming 24+ or on our ABC24 YouTube page. But back to number one, this week, federal judge Waverly Crenshaw out of Nashville put a stop to the state oversight board operations and to maintain the status quo for now to give the judge more time to review the lawsuit. MSCS board members are seeing this as a victory. They are suing state leaders and each member they appointed, claiming the oversight board strips the elected board's ability to carry out duties their constituents voted for them to do.
At the end of the day, you have to let the board do their jobs, which is to govern this district. You may not like a lot of things that we do. You may not like a lot of things that we say, but that's our elected duty.
We're going to move forward. This is a temporary restraining order. I think the judge went ahead and signed that but it's only holds for 10 days. The Attorney General's office, of course, they represent anything that we do pass in the state as far as legislation.
Now, Crenshaw's order also requires the attorneys involved in the case to meet and discuss all necessary details for an injunction hearing before Monday, July 6th. Quick note here, the new Oversight Board's meeting scheduled on Wednesday was canceled because of the judge's order. And also, additionally, the full forensic audit of Memphis-Shelby County Schools is expected to be released next week in Nashville. All right, let's go to Otis here. So, Otis, is this a battle win or is this an indication that MSCS may have a chance at winning the overall fight?
Well, I think it's a lot of the first and a little bit of the second. It is a battle win. Anytime that you can get a judge to, in effect, issue a temporary restraining order to stop what was being done here, you have to say that the plaintiffs can claim a little victory here. But overall, we'll have to see where this goes. I covered courts for a long time, Pepper, and judges only grant these kinds of requests if there is some possibility that the plaintiffs would succeed on the merits of the case. And so the fact that Judge Crenshaw did issue a temporary restraining order says that there are some questions about whether this was done constitutionally or legally. And now we go to a hearing. Let's have a preliminary hearing. Maybe the TRO will turn into a preliminary injunction. Maybe the preliminary injunction will turn into a permanent injunction. Who knows? But I think the fact that this was done, I think should give some pause here, and now we are getting ready to get into the season of returning schools. So there's a lot of issues here. This is a hot mess, is what it is right now.
Yeah, it's seemingly so. Now, Scott, you're the former school board member. Right. So the fact that we haven't talked to you since they added in each individual member to the lawsuit as well. So, just your thoughts about
that's
where
the members of the oversight board.
Yes, the members, yes.
Yes. Not school board members.
Oh, well, the elected board added the oversight board members. So, yeah, I'm just curious to know where you think about all this.
Well, on what Otis was saying about, it's my understanding they're going to hold a hearing July 6th, Monday, July 6th. There will be a hearing on the temporary restraining order, and the judge at that point will either keep it in force or dismiss it. And that's where the merits of the case, that's where that would come into play. If the judge thinks that there's a chance that their case has merits, he could keep the restraining order. I think the timing of this July 6th meeting or hearing is a little, given the fact that the audit from the state is going to be released July 8th. And if he were to enforce the TRO, and then the audit comes out, and who knows what it shows. Well, let's just say worst case, it shows horrible things that were happening at the, that's going to be a big dynamic in the show and tell of this whole thing. So I think the judge will probably either dismiss the TRO or take it under advisement to let it go through July 8th.
That is a good point here. The audit findings, will tell a lot. Pastor Norman, I did want to know whether or not you think, what scenario can everybody actually get along here? But of course, feel free to comment on what these gentlemen said.
Well, first thing we see is that the law works. I mean, a request was made to pump the brakes and to look at this. So whenever a matter is adjudicated or a law is passed and a side disagrees with it, such as the school board, they file their complaint, they were heard, and they got some form of justice. Whether or not it stands or whether it goes forward in this manner, they did get a temporary restraining order. The fact that the two dates don't align, the 6th and possibly the 8th, when you get the rest, or further out, when you get the rest of the audit, that is going to be the smoking gun by which a lot of these decisions should be weighed in on. We should weigh in on those decisions. And so I think we're still in this holding pattern once again. And again, the elephants are fighting and the grass is suffering. It's only the kids that are going to come out worse, because how can you have curriculum decisions, start dates, all of the things that need to happen in 30 days, roughly 30 to 35 days before school starts, with a group that can make some decisions but none financial decisions. They can't make any financial decisions. And so that's going to be a quagmire. That's going to be a tough situation to be in.
And if they do make financial decisions in the time where this is maintaining the status quo, what then happens if the oversight board is reinstated? Could all of those decisions kind of be null and void?
It seems as though they can be swept away.
Yeah, apparently so. And they made a big decision just the other day by approving a contract for some school buses, as I understand.
More than anything, they've probably made some people have made some decisions as to whether or not they're going to continue their careers. There are people who are watching this right now, 25, 30, and 35-year veterans in this system who have a body of knowledge and experience, and they're saying, do we want to work in this kind of environment? And if those individuals begin to trigger their departure, we could be in worse shape on the school level, not the board level, but the school level than ever before.
Yeah, what do you say about that?
Well, I think everything has been done to try to thwart the oversight board. And, they're not even given it a chance. I mean, when it first was mentioned, I believe you had a guest who had a soundbite that said it was all going to be white Republicans on the board, which is not what happened. It's a very diverse board, not only in racial makeup and gender makeup, but also in experience makeup. And we don't know exactly what they're going to do yet, and we're not even giving this oversight board a chance to make any decisions.
But Scott, couldn't we also say that from the other point of view? Did the state legislature give the school board opportunity when they were saying, let's negotiate before we put this board in place?
Yeah, I think they've had 20 years of opportunity, of which I was a part of. I'm just saying the school system and the administration.
The school board came and said, let's talk, let's work something. Can we get these two boards to work together? They realized that the board was going to be put in place, but they said, can we sit down and figure out what the structure will look like and where the power will lie in each group? There was no communication on that. And so now they went to the process, which they're supposed to do, take it to court to see if it stands, to see what the constitutional foundation of this is. Are you stripping away from us the rights that we have as elected officials to do our job? And that's what the court has temporarily said. Yes.
And I think that is where the argument on the merits before the judge is going to come down on. Is there an issue here? Is there a problem here with usurping the will of voters?
Right.
And the voters elected, you may hate all of them, but the voters elected them. And I think this judge, who now is being vilified as some Obama judge and an activist judge, which, I don't see people complaining when the rulings go their way. But that's going to come down to be the case here. will this judge determine that it was done in violation of their rights as an elected official, and you're taking away their
Yeah, but that's on the trial.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's
but that's
where
not on the temporary restraining order.
Well, but
The
you got to
hearing
get to the merits.
Yeah,
though.
but the hearing on the temporary restraining order goes back to, like, do the merits exist that they have a chance that they could win, and
And the merit is there a violation of their rights as an elected official? That's all I'm saying. That's the key argument here.
So, Scott, if you were elected as a Shelby County School Board member, like, what would be your stance at this point? Would you have been on the side of pursuing legal action, or would you, what would you have done?
that's a tough question.
Ooh, yeah.
That puts me in the spotlight. Probably, to be honest with you, I probably would welcome the oversight board. I mean,
Scott, no.
hey, listen, don't Scott know me.
No.
In the 6 years that I served there, I was very frustrated at the ideas and the things that I wanted to promote, and not getting very little support from my colleagues, who some are still there,
So
who
it's a
I
totally
respect
different
and
issue.
admire.
The
but-
issue of your colleagues and you not seeing eye to eye is one thing.
Right.
The issue of the state putting a board over you to limit your elected powers and authority, that's a different issue.
Yeah, but I
She asked that
I
question.
wasn't there for power and authority. I was
You
there
were there to
help
make
the kids.
decisions on behalf of the people.
And-
They put
and-
you there in that space.
And it wasn't being done.
All right, well, on that note, that was a good one to end on, y'all. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about the independent autopsy of a 1-year-old who was shot and killed at the hands of police. Stay with us.